sitting in my chair late at night, watching crime unfold under the pale moonlight. From the darkest corner, stories unfold. True crime jewels, she's brash and she is bold. On the YouTube screen, we're digging deep into the mysteries that never sleep. From missing kids in Tennessee to angry husbands named Barry. True crime's calling, and we're taking the time. So grab a seat, don't miss a beat. This True Crime Jewels got what you need. From missing people to twisting minds, we're unraveling secrets old Barry tried to hide. Every clue.
Hi, Shahida. Welcome.
In the world of crime, there's
Happy Gal Brenda. Welcome. Great to see you.
On the YouTube screen, we're digging deep into the mysteries that never sleep. From Christopher's anger to Stephen Fisher's lies. The truth is calling, and justice won't be denied. So grab a seat, don't miss a beat. True Crime Jewels on the YouTube streets.
All right, that's probably enough. One more verse.
We're chasing truth, we spot every lie. Step into the darkness, hold on tight. Two flashlights out there in the dead of night. On the YouTube screen, we're digging deep. Barry Morphew's case is hot. A boy in Tennessee won't be left behind. From the coldest cases to the ones that shine, true crime's calling, and we're taking the time. So grab a seat, don't miss a beat. This True Crime Jewels got what you need. We're always watching Barry and waiting for the truth. In the world of crime, we discuss the proof.
All right, I'm gonna turn that off. How's everybody doing? I hope you guys are awesome and great. Okay, so let's see. My finger got cut. I hope everybody's doing well. Oh, I didn't know I was on camera. Why am I on camera? Ooh, I don't like that. What? I don't want to disrupt the, is that right? Okay. Sorry about that. I didn't notice. And that's what I wanted. All right. So I hope you guys are doing great. It is Friday. Whoop, 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 woo. And it is time to get the weekend started. But before we go off into a more a more fun-filled, lighthearted weekend, I wanted to take a minute and talk about the terrible tragedy that we watched the other night in Washington, D.C. Let me get my video up here that we can all watch. So, look, there have been people are saying there's all kinds of comments about what happened with that flight, the BlackHawk military helicopter crashing into the American Airlines flight. It is, just a nightmare all the way around. And it is absolutely inappropriate, in my opinion, to politicize the deaths of these 67 Americans. It is, or not Americans, but people, because there were also people that were citizens of other countries on the flight. It was a terrible loss to humanity all the way around, regardless of what country you're from. But I think we're doing a big disservice to the conversation, trying to say, oh, it was DEI. DEI caused it. That's what it was. It was a DEI. Okay, look, the reality is that you're not going to become a BlackHawk helicopter pilot if you don't know what you're doing. They've already come out to say, they've already come out to say that this crew that was flying, that they were a experienced group. They were actually doing like a training flight to re-up their credentials for the year. And so look, the conversation about DEI stuff, please stop. There's a lot of things that can go wrong that don't have anything to do with, hiring someone that may or may not be qualified. Just stop that conversation. And the reason that I think it's a bad conversation to be having is it takes away from the reality of what may have gone wrong, correct? Now, if it does come out that a person wasn't properly qualified to be piloting the BlackHawk or whatever, then that becomes a different discussion. But at this point right now, they were an experienced crew, no question. And so it's unlikely that it was a problem of being unqualified. It's unlikely that was the problem. So it's probably better all the way around for everyone, for our nation, for neighbors with neighbors and friends with friends and loved ones with loved ones. It's probably a better conversation to have about, what could have gone wrong in reality, because it is not a reality that a experienced crew or DEI hires. That is not a reality. So we have to redirect back to something that makes a little more sense. Now, the woman that you see on your screen, that is a woman who basically went from being an unemployed Army wife to becoming a decorated U.S. Army BlackHawk helicopter pilot. Her name is Elizabeth McCormick. She did all kinds of flying. She flew air assault. She did command and control missions. And she is now entered into the life of a corporate executive. Elizabeth McCormick suffered a difficult physical injury. And so she was unable to continue flying BlackHawk helicopters. And at that point, she reinvented herself. And basically, she had a long time background in international contract negotiation, supply chain management, U.S. Army wife, and then joined the military and actually became a BlackHawk helicopter pilot herself. When she experienced her injury, then she used that broad background of really high top-notch skills to become a motivational keynote speaker. She also often will give content for TV channel like CNN, Fox News, and she is considered a leadership specialist. One of my favorite books is Pilot. It's called The Pilot Method. I just call it the Pilot book. And it is the 5 elemental truths to leading yourself in life. And, I like people not who just talk. I like people who have done, and then they teach you what it took for them to accomplish all that they accomplished, right? And so the Pilot Method is one of those types of books. So this is a notable woman. She's had a great deal of success across the board in multiple settings, but all of these settings relied on her to be smart, dedicated, driven, to be high in fluid intelligence, be able to develop quickly a solution to a problem in a novel setting or situation. She's basically the real deal, right? And so she is quite well known in certain circles for being, having a very dynamic speaking style. Her speeches and her suggestions demonstrate high practical insight, and she has a tremendous story about overcoming adversity, and she has it's in her nature, this orientation towards resilience and determination. When she gets knocked down, she doesn't crawl in bed and cry for 3 weeks. She goes, well, damn it, I'm sorry that happened. I hate that. Now what am I going to do about it? And so she pivots when she should pivot. So she is a wonderful person. So her book again is called The Pilot Method, Pilot Method, the 5 elemental truths to leading yourself in life. Now, the reason that I've got her up here and kind of introducing you who she is, she actually, as usual, she breaks down what happened in Washington, D.C. She kind of takes us into the cockpit of the helicopter, not the airline flight, not the airplane, but the helicopter, where there were 3 people in the helicopter. She really does a great job breaking it down, bringing us into the helicopter, and then laying out for us the likely problems. Does that make sense? So I wanted to put this out, number 1, because she's amazing, but number 2, because it's rational. It's coming from a person who has a background and would know, and it gets away from the political talking points and hating each other and being divisive, right? I'm sick of the division. I'm sick of the hate. I'm just ready to get back to being normal people, everybody caring about everybody. So let's listen to Ms. McCormick and see how she envisions what may have happened inside of that BlackHawk.
We had a crew of 3, and if you're flying a visual flight plan in a crowded airspace like this, they really should have had 2 crew chiefs in the back of the helicopter to clear each side, as the pilots only have visibility from straight ahead 12 to 3 o'clock, or 12 from 9 o'clock to 12 o'clock. So you only have visibility of the front 180 degrees. Your crew chiefs clear the back. If you only have.
So what she's saying, and I know you guys are listening, but I kind of cut it off in the front. So she's saying that there should have been not just the 2 people in the front, the 2 pilots in the front, but there should have been a crew member on the left side of the plane and the right side of the plane, so that you have visual from beside the plane toward the back of the plane. And the same thing on the right, from the side, the right side of the, not the airplane, the helicopter, from the right side of the helicopter back to the tail of the helicopter. And that way you would have had, about a 345 field of vision. So we have to remember that this helicopter flew into the side of the airplane, number 1, and that airplane is moving out. It's going fast, to the tune of nearly 200 miles an hour fast. So if you are the pilot in the helicopter and you look left and you look right, if you're not looking far enough back, an airplane coming that fast that is that close to you, you may think perfectly well that there's nothing out there, and then the airplane is on top of you before you know it, right? So that was number 1. The crew was simply not enough, given the situation they were in, the worst airport in the world beside Charles de Gaulle, in terms of air traffic control, limitations on the ground, closed airspace issues. mixture between military, civilian aircraft. I mean, it's a terrible, they want to close the Ronald Reagan Airport. Conservatives jump up and down and say, no, it's Ronald Reagan Airport. Okay, who cares? Close it and open it somewhere else. Build one somewhere else. But get away from that mess there at the Potomac and get into a safe position. There's too many planes coming in and out. You've got the military bases that are surrounding you. It's a very, very, very dangerous situation. And they've known that it's been dangerous forever. Forever. They've been arguing to close this airport forever. So Elizabeth says you didn't have enough people in the helicopter. You had a pilot, a co-pilot, and you had one person in the back, and there should have been at a minimum 2 in the back, one for the left, one for the right, although that would not have been her choice. She would have wanted 4 in the back. And I'm not going to go into why that is, but with only 1 in the back, this was a disaster waiting to happen. So the question is, why were there only 3 on the helicopter? Write that question down. That's one of the important questions. Not, was it a DEI hire? No, that's not an important question. The important question is, how did you end up in a setting where there's only 3 on a BlackHawk? How is that possible? This is a huge helicopter. So it's very odd that there were only 3 on the helicopter. Okay, gonna be quiet now. We're gonna get back to Ms. McCormick.
One crew chief, how much can you clear? The second one is, it is, whether they were on night vision goggles at that time or not, it is a very cluttered airspace with a lot of lighting and the lights reflecting on the river. And so with that, it's easy to kind of get a little disoriented as far as the height. They were supposed to be at 200 feet, which is the helicopter routing in that area, and it wouldn't have been a conflict, but they were not at 200 feet. Obviously, reportedly, the incident happened at around 350 to 400 feet as the airliner was.
350 to 400 feet. They were not even, they shouldn't have even been, they shouldn't have even been on the same plane. I don't mean plane. I'm talking about like plane of space. Have y'all heard this before about that they were at 450 and that their flight mat was at 200? Have y'all seen that? I have not seen that anywhere. All these people want to talk about, DEI. Can we talk about altitude? Can we talk about the flight path? What happened there? That is shocking, isn't it? Absolutely shocking. The Martian planet, the airplane, it crashed perpendicular, right? The helicopter went into the side of the airplane, but the airplane's traveling at a very high rate of speed, so it wouldn't have been as the airplane was. I mean, as the helicopter was ascending, the airplane would not have been even in front of them. It would have been far back over to the left on the horizon. So there's 2 problems there. As the helicopter is going up, the airplane that it ran into would have been to the left on the horizon, back behind it. But there was a CRJ, an exact plane, duplicate plane, that was taking off from the airport. And so that's another thing that they considered. They think that the helicopter pilot was confused and thought that they were making eye contact with the plane that was taking off, not the airplane that would have been to the left back behind them, right? And so they ask them, do you have visual sighting? And they say, yes, we see the lights. And then they ask again, a couple of seconds later, they ask again, and there is no answer. That was probably the time that they're going, oh shit, where did he come from? And then that was it. It was too late. Sky News was reporting it right away. However, that information was not released anywhere in the U.S. Isn't that crazy, Bunny? It's so crazy. That's something that should have been reported by everyone right off the bat. Who cares if you don't know? Just put the facts out there to stop these conversations. Oh, it's a DEI hire. It was someone that wasn't qualified to fly. Oh, if they were flying instruments with night goggle visions over the river in the middle of the night, they were definitely not DEI hires. It's just silly, right? But being at 450 degrees when you were supposed to be at 200, okay, something went dramatically wrong. All right, so I'm going to be quiet now and let Ms. McCormick talk.
Is descending, so that they were at the wrong height. So that's a pilot error. The first would be a policy error or choice. And then the third is air traffic control said, do you have the CRJ in sight? Well, there were two aircraft in their field of view, and actually only one was really obvious to them. And that was if you watch the video, the aircraft taking off in the foreground is probably the one they were facing, the pilots were facing, and said, yeah, I got it. The air traffic control should have said, do you have the aircraft at 5 o'clock? So they were looking at the rear. If they had done that, the BlackHawk is maneuverable. The BlackHawk could have moved out of the way quickly. They can move on a dime and make that happen.
Okay.
These videos obtained exclusively by CNN show previously unseen angles of the collision between an American Airlines flight and a US Army Black Hawk helicopter. In the first video, the Black Hawk can be seen flying at speed over the Potomac from the left side of the screen. The American Airlines plane can be seen flying towards the airport before the two collide.
Oh, I haven't seen that particular point of view. Wow, that's new. Okay, let me see if I can. Oh, see, this is okay. Maybe that'll work. Okay, that noise will quit in just a second. All right. Let me see if I can get closer in because it's at the top of the screen. All right, let's see if that lets us look at it. Uh-oh, I can't get it to start. Hold on. Come on.
This video, the Black Hawk can be seen flying at speed over the Potomac from the left side of the screen. The American Airlines plane can be seen flying towards the airport before the two collide, causing a mid-air explosion.
It just doesn't look right, does it? Like, even when you see that, it just looks like the helicopter.
In the second video, you can see the Army helicopter and American Airlines plane travel toward each other. After the collision and subsequent explosion, the airliner can be seen spinning into the water, and the Black Hawk is also seen falling into the water.
Huh.
The FAA's diversity push includes focus on hiring people with severe.
Okay. I didn't want to listen to that anymore. It does look like that, Shahada. It does look that. And I don't want to say that. You know, I don't. I love the military. I don't want to think about that being real, but it sure did look like that, didn't it? Well, shoot. That's really... I hate seeing that other view is not, that's going to be hard to explain away. They had plenty of time to see it, didn't they? The trajectory of their flight, they would have seen it. Okay, well, I'm not going to get swayed. A woman was flying it, so that's the word on the streets as to what went wrong. Coffin Duffer's hat. Behave yourself right now, buddy. Okay. Sure looks like they could have gotten out of the way. Yeah, well, it almost, Sinkers, go back and look at that video on CNN. and zoom in really far, it actually looks like the helicopter would have missed the plane had it stayed on that same upward trajectory, but it looks like it levels out right before it hits the plane. So it doesn't look good. Maybe it was the air. Maybe the air pulled it down into the plane. Maybe. No, because that's a BlackHawk. No, it's a BlackHawk's got a lot of power. No, wouldn't do that. I don't know. It's pretty sad. Okay, I'm watching you, Captain Doctor's hat. I'm keeping an eye on you, watching you like a hawk. That wasn't a stupid question. The reporter wanted to know if he planned to go to the crash site. They didn't mean go in the water. Oh, I don't know what you're talking about. What are you talking about, Christina? You're talking about Trump's comments? No, I don't want politics. I don't want to deal with politics right now. And people get really triggered by Donald Trump. You know what I mean? There was a rumor going around about the woman thing, but I'm not sure that's true. Look, no, it's not true, everybody. The issue is that the military has classified that information for right now, and that information is not getting out. It's not getting out. It is on lockdown. Okay? The military information is not being released. So you're going to have people that are going to try guessing and have something to talk about, but the reality is they don't know. You know how, like in the Sebastian Rogers case, right? We don't know where Sebastian is. Nobody knows for sure what happened to the young man based on the behavior, based on circumstantial facts. We got a pretty good idea who made him disappear, but we have no idea in what way he disappeared, where he is. Did he just end up hidden away somewhere, or has he actually lost his life? I mean, nobody knows, but based on people's behavior and actions and circumstantial facts, we got an idea about who knows where he is. There is at least one, possibly two people that know what went wrong that night, but we don't know, you and I. We just know that things aren't looking good in terms of where he may be today, right? So we can talk all day long. We can speculate and say, oh, well, you know, I think he was kidnapped, or I think he met someone online on his video game and he got lured out of his house, or I think his mom hurt him. Like, everybody can speculate on what they believe may have happened. You still don't know. The only thing you do know are the circumstantial facts that have either been reported by the police or that we've watched ourselves when Christopher Proudfoot, Katie Proudfoot, Seth Rogers have gone on live streams and talked, and we all witnessed that. Those are the only things we know for sure. In the case of this helicopter going down, we know about the American Airlines flight because there have been families that have come out and spoken about the people on the flight. There has been information released about the pilots and who they were, what their history was. But you think about it, the helicopter, that information has been blacked out. The United States military, the U.S. government is in control of that information, and we know nothing. Basically, Elizabeth gave us three things that we know to be fact. The fact is there was a 3-man crew or woman crew. I don't know if they're men or women. 3-man crew. And there should have been a minimum of 4. She would have flown with 6. That's period. We know that their flight plan, they were supposed to have been at 200. They were instead at 450 and ascending. They were at 450, but they were also going up as they hit. And then what was the third thing she said? the line of sight was messed up, the altitude was messed up, and there was something else. I forgot what her third thing was. It is all so incredibly sad, regardless of who is at fault or what happened. It hurts my heart 100%. And the reason to investigate is to make sure that it doesn't happen again. And I really do kind of think, it was tower error. That was the other thing that they said, do you see the CRJ instead of do you see the CRJ at 5 o'clock or at, what was the other one? 5 o'clock or 8 o'clock, right? They saw the one at 5 o'clock. They did not see the one at 8 o'clock or not 9 o'clock, not 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. So they've got a little bit of blame. One is policy. Why the hell do you have 3 people piloting? Why do you have 3 people in a BlackHawk when they're redoing certifications and they're on night goggles? Why would you do that? That's the dumbest possible thing. That's asking for trouble. So was it a policy problem? Was it a manpower problem? The second was, did the pilot make an error? And the third was tower error, that they didn't call out which CRJ. And what you're going to find out is there are not enough air traffic controllers. They're understaffed. They have way too many airplanes flying into this particular location and not enough air traffic control. And so it's a little bit of everyone, a little bit of, it was the perfect storm. Everybody held a little bit of blame, right? It's unfortunate to say that. The people that did not hold blame was the American Airlines flight and the 2 pilots that were flying that aircraft. They were exactly where they were supposed to be. They were exactly on their flight path. They were at the proper altitude. They were at the proper speed. It was 100% an Army BlackHawk that caused the wreck. So that's where we are today. It's very pitiful. What did y'all think about the way that she broke that down? Pretty interesting, wasn't it? It was very clear. You could almost be in the helicopter. She was a very effective speaker, And she herself was a BlackHawk helicopter pilot, and that's how she knows. Documented air traffic controller shortage. Thank you, Jet Set. Absolutely. And that's going to be a big issue, right? Because imagine how this would have turned out if he had called out, do you see the CRJ at 9 o'clock? That's a whole different question than at 5 o'clock. Why did they put the plane on runway 1 and then move it to 33? I don't know. You know who would know that? The truth about that would be a pilot who goes in and out of that particular airport. Those runways are a problem. They've been a problem for a long time. They require pilots to travel over the water, over the Potomac, and then make a quick turn left onto that runway. The other 2 runways are much shorter. So it's not a good, it's just like the Aspen Airport. The Aspen Airport's got all these problems with it. And so it's almost like all conditions have to be perfect before you can attempt a landing. They moved it to the other runway because it was a smaller jet and that smaller runway could handle it. Okay, so Jet Set has the answer. Yeah, the 33, that is a long, the perpendicular, well, I'm not going to go into the why. It was moved because it was it was one of the smaller runways, and this was just a little hopper plane. There's also ATC hiring freeze. Well, I mean, but isn't that recent? Documented air traffic controller shortage. I think that's that is it in a nutshell. The question that I would have, though, is why do you have an aircraft that is supposed to be at 200 and they're up at 450? Why did nobody call that out or see that? Is it because of the air traffic? Is this all going to come down to the tower was understaffed? I'm a few minutes behind. People scream like true crime scream. It's ridiculous. People use the curse word every third word. They do, Sunset. I myself at times get a bit passionate, okay? And I may use the wordy dirds. But I can at least have a conversation without needing to cuss, right? Oh my goodness, Snickers. So sad. It's so sad. My first thought, but I have no idea. Yeah, it's really pitiful. But I think air traffic control, that is going to be one of the issues, especially you can't take the blame off of the helicopter. And whether it was a military decision to have a 3-man crew, it seems crazy that there was a 3-man crew if they were on night goggles. That is crazy. So there were there's some questionable decisions with the helicopter. Really strange. So, yeah, just like anything else in the world, there's no simple answers. This was a perfect storm. Multiple things had to go wrong for this. I mean, do you know how hard it would be for a helicopter to hit the side of a moving airplane? It's like threading a needle with a BB. You couldn't do it. So it's not going to be an easy answer. It's not going to be something simplistic. There will be a prioritized list of what went wrong, the things that should have kicked in to safeguard the mistake, that something went wrong with those safeguards, and then you ended up with a nightmare. It's really terrible. So no, there never is, Bart. Never is, for sure. I also think that when you are doing a high-risk job, you can become conditioned or lax to the dangers. Well, you think the air traffic controller? I don't know. I think they have a lot of awareness that at any given time they have hundreds of lives in their hands. I don't know that they would get lackadaisical or comfortable. You know what I mean? I think if anything, I think it would be more likely that they're just tired, they're weary, and so they do have a lot of anxiety problems. There's a high rate of depression among air traffic controllers. It is not an easy job at all. You don't go to work and relax all day. You know what I mean? By the end of the day, you're a nervous wreck. Is it true no pilots and the helicopter was controlled remotely? No, I don't think so. There's recording of them answering that they see the CRJ The air traffic didn't name which CRJ it was, and the one that was taking off, the one that was ascending, was easier for them to see. They really didn't have the eyes to see back behind them, or not behind them, but to the left and back. But, you know, there's always conspiracy theorists. And listen, you guys know I love Wild Speculation Friday, okay? I love conspiracy theories. But in this situation, no, no, that's not likely that the helicopter was being, you know, remote controlled. That's not likely. And I wouldn't discount it if someone came forward and had some kind of evidence that could, some kind of like circumstantial evidence that would suggest maybe that's a possibility. I wouldn't turn my back on that, but as it stands right now, according to the recordings, with the tower recordings, and the fact that they know who the three pilots were and what they were doing. They knew the mission. They knew that it was a qualifying mission. They knew that they were on night goggles. No, I don't think it would be reasonable to believe that it was government conspiracy. I don't think so. In our Canadian news, it said there were 11 passengers in the helicopter as well as the three. You can, are you sure they said there's you have the possibility of having an 11-man crew. Maybe they misspoke, Mystic Firefly. Maybe they were just talking about like giving the stats of the flight, not what was actually there. The story is 3 people in the helicopter, all of them military. Yeah, it's a big, this is a big black eye on the United States Army, for sure. And I heard a lot of other comments, suggestions. Oh, this is because Trump fired the TSA director. None of that would have affected this. American Airlines flight did nothing wrong. They were at the right place, location. They were at the right, altitude. They were at the right airspeed. There was nothing out of sorts for the flight. The traffic controller did mess up because he did not name his target. He just said, do you see the CRJ? Instead of, there were 2 CRJs in the vicinity and he didn't name which one. No, it doesn't have anything to do with a political thing. No, it was the guys that were piloting the helicopter. They were using night vision glasses. That is an area that is heavily saturated with a lot of moving lights, a lot. You've also got the river that they were contending with, the reflection in the river. It was that they just didn't have enough people in the helicopter. It's just it. It is typical for them to have you circle runway 33 is too busy and see if you're okay with landing on a shorter runway. That is a common occurrence. Hey, Carol, how are you? Thank you, Just Another Human. I admit, in a world of people, as psychologists defining themselves as cognitive behavioral psychologists, I own my badge as behaviorist proudly. So I'm not always the favorite person at the hospital, but I am at the hospital. I think it boils down to several conditions and human error. It was an accident. It was an accident where a couple of different things went wrong, and it's a terrible, terrible tragedy and heartache. It's not political. I don't think right now, I don't really believe that there's a political perspective on this. I think it was just a problem. They were flying through the flight path, not landing at the airport. Yes, they were okay. So their flight path, they were supposed to be at 200. They were at 450, which put them on a direct heading to the plane. All the time, Ginger. This was not exactly a training in the typical sense of the word. It was actually a qualifying flight. They have to recert every year. It was just a recertification flight. I don't mean just. I mean, it was important, but it wasn't like students that they were teaching. First of all, they would never put students in that particular location because of the Ronald Reagan Airport. It's too dangerous. All the lights and tight confined space, restricted airspace, all the VIPs flying in and out. They wouldn't put a new crew there. This was an experienced crew. They were just recertifying. They'd already had that certification. It shouldn't have ever happened. I feel it is related to Russia. Why? Because of the national champions. There were 14 skaters on. Yeah, they're not all. No, it wasn't 12 Russian skaters. The previous national champion skaters who were Russian, they were on the plane they were coaches to the younger skaters. The other skaters that were on there were various. It's really hard to talk. I don't want to go through each individual person, but it was a collection of skaters. They had a competition. Then they did like a workshop training thing, and then they were coming back from Kansas. So it wasn't a team, but it was all people that would have competed against each other, and then two coaches. So it's not really Russia. Russia's not the focus at all. They were not inexperienced pilots. No, they were experienced. They were recertifying. They'd held certifications. They were well capable of flying in that area. No, nobody's defecting. No, they live in the United States. It doesn't have anything to do with Russia. All right. I think that's it. So I kind of wanted seeing all of the kind of conspiracy theory kind of stuff. And like I said, I do love conspiracy theorists, but I do it too. But I think definitely in this situation, it was just a cascade of dominoes that fell, things that weren't optimal, and they culminated in this nightmare. And it's a devastating, sad situation for people everywhere. A lot of people lost from many different areas. So I will be back to talk about Sebastian Rogers, just trying to figure out what point of view I want to go from. And the last time that I was live, we talked, and I said that I was thinking about talking about the things that law enforcement has presented to us that was wrong, almost like they were trying to mislead us. So yeah, if you want to hear more about conspiracy theories and the disappearance of Sebastian Rogers, I'll be back later on tonight. I hope you'll join us. If you'll subscribe, you'll know when I am live. Please hit the thumbs up before you leave. It helps the algorithm get my video out, and I will return.
Enjoy the true crime journey with Jewels of Thought and her gemstone family. Well, I'm sitting in my chair late at night, watching crime unfold under the pale moonlight. From the darkest corner, stories unfold. True crime jewels, she's brash and she is bold. On the YouTube screen, we're digging deep into the mysteries that never sleep. From missing kids in Tennessee to angry husbands named Barry. True crime's calling, and we're taking the time. So grab a seat, don't miss a beat. This True Crime Jewels got what you need. From missing people to twisted minds, we're unraveling secrets old Barry tried to hide. Every clue, every twist and turn. In the world of crime, there's always more to learn. On the YouTube screen, we're digging deep into the mysteries that never sleep. From Christopher's anger to Stephen Fisher's lies. The truth is calling, and justice won't be denied. So grab a seat, don't miss a beat. True crime jewels on the YouTube streets. Lights are low, suspense is high. We're chasing truth, we spot every lie. Step into the darkness, hold on tight. Two flashlights out there in the dead of night. On the YouTube screen, we're digging deep. Barry Morphew's case is hot. A boy in Tennessee won't be left behind. From the coldest cases to the ones that shine. True crime's calling, and we're taking the time. So grab a seat, don't miss a beat. This True Crime Jewels got what you need. We're always watching Barry and waiting for the truth. In the world of crime, we discuss the proof. So hit that play and join the true crime journey with jewels of thought and her gemstone family.